Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do a straight seam on your sewing machine. So what I'm going to do really quickly is take a piece of fabric, okay? This is a relatively small, these two pieces of fabric, and I'm gonna pin these together and I'm gonna sew this edge together. So I'm gonna match up my edges, nice and simple, and I'm gonna throw a couple pins in there. So I like to start at my corners. So there's the first corner, there's my other corner. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a pin roughly every peace sign. So if I do a peace sign, I should have one in the center there, and that's more than enough pins as I'm sewing. So this is for the Bernina machine, but it's pretty similar no matter which sewing machine you are working with. A standard seam allowance is 5/8 of an inch. So if you look down here on the sewing machine, there's this metal plate here. This plate has a bunch of different lines on it. We're gonna look for the line that says 5/8 of an inch, and it's right over here, okay? This is where that 5/8 of an inch line is. So what that means is the edge of my fabric is going to be on that line. And as long as I keep the edge of my fabric on that line, I will be sewing in a nice straight line. This is very important when we're sewing clothing items like the shorts that we're doing in class right now, because if your seam is too large or if your seam is too small, it'll actually change the size of your short, meaning that it might not fit properly. This is especially a problem if you do your seams too large, okay? So I'm gonna start at the very top of my pieces of fabric, and I'm gonna reach my hand behind the machine and feel for the take up lever, and I'm gonna bring that into the down position. So that brings my pressure foot down. The pressure foot applies pressure to the fabric, and it holds everything steady as I sew. I'm also going to have a pin cushion with me, next to me as I sew. So anytime I take a pin out, I am putting it directly into a pin cushion, okay? So I'm gonna start by sewing forward about 5 stitches, okay? Here I go. So my pressure foot is down. Now I'm gonna press on my foot pedal about 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop. At this point, I need to do something called back stitch. That's going to anchor all of my stitches in place. So I'm going to press this button right here 2 times nice and hard. 1, 2. What pops up on this little computer screen is a U-shaped arrow. That U-shaped arrow means my machine is now currently going in reverse. So I'm now going to go in reverse 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I sewed down and then I sewed back, and that's going to secure all my stitches in place. Now I press this button 1 time. Boop. The U-shaped arrow is now gone. That means I'm going in straight stitch. I'm going forward again. So I like to have one hand on the side, and I like to hold the bottom of my fabric with my other hand here. And it's my job to keep this going in a nice straight line. So I start sewing and I'm going slowly. I don't need to be going super fast. And the whole time I'm keeping the edge of my fabric along that 5/8 seam allowance line. As I come close to pins, I take them out, place them into my pin cushion, and then I continue sewing. All the way down to the edge. Here I am, I'm approaching the edge of my fabric here. And when I get to my edge, I need to backstitch a second time. You always backstitch at the start and at the finish. So to backstitch, I press this button 2 times, 1, 2. I now go in reverse, reverse 2, 3, 4, 5, press once, forward 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I reach behind my machine again. I lift my take up lever, and I simply take my fabric and I pull, 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 pull to the side, and I use the blade on the side of the machine to cut my thread. So what you should have is a nice, straight, even seam all the way down, And now I have sewed these two pieces of fabric together. Okay, so this is exactly what you're going to do if you're sewing the side seam of your shorts. This is exactly what you're going to do if you're sewing a pocket onto your shorts. So this is a nice, simple, straight seam. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask me in class. Thank you.